Inside Out, Miyagi and Trips up here. And then I've also got the legendary David Gray.
Oh, I'm
So,
legendary.
and then Sparky is back with us from wherever you were last week. I don't know. So
Fighting
what's
the
going
good fight, brother. Fighting the good fight.
Hey, it's good to see everybody. Hey, so got lots of cool stuff to talk about. And this episode's all about animal encounters. So, and as outdoor lovers as we are, that's one of the highlights is when you get to have animal encounters. Sometimes are good, sometimes not so good. But let's just jump right into it. So Miyagi, so why don't you tell us a little bit about where you guys usually hike at and what are some of the surroundings and trips? What kinds of encounters have you guys had?
Well, for the most part, we're up in the northern boreal forests, which a lot of black bears, moose, that type of thing. And this year, it didn't disappoint. We got a chance to do Isle Royale this year. We spent 9 days on the island, and it was just like being in a big zoo. I mean, it was awesome. Awesome.
That is a really cool place. That was actually our very first backpacking trip ever was to Isle Royale. It's almost a petting zoo at some points. So
literally, you got to watch it because they'll steal your gear.
Yeah,
we got a funny story about that later on.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So what kinds of encounters did you have? I mean, did you run into a moose? I mean, that was, what is there, like 2,000 moose on that island or something crazy like that?
2,000 moose. Yeah, in fact, it's got the highest population of moose per square mile of anywhere. And literally, we did run into them. This has been our second time to the island, and twice now we've run literally smack dab into a moose. The first time we were there, 2 years ago, Trips?
Yeah, I think 2019.
And I ran ahead to get a campsite because there was another boat coming in. We were at Wendigo Harbor and told her to head, or I headed ahead, and she was lagging behind, and we were she was coming through a swamp area, and I'll let you explain.
So there was a little bit of a peninsula, and as I came around it, there was a young bull moose standing there staring at me, and we both kind of hopped off trail, but there wasn't, it was like a hill on the other side and then like swamp to my left. So I jumped up the hill and I kind of stood there for a little bit, but I couldn't see around the curve to see if he had gone anywhere. So I waited several minutes and then kind of like crept out, and he had run up the hill and was standing there watching me. But holy cow.
And fortunately, all the encounters that we've had have all been where we're just kind of staring each other down, and we've gone, outside of the rut. I don't think I would hike Isle Royale. If you could, I know they close it down during a certain time of year, but I wouldn't hike. I think you had some stats earlier, Todd, about how moose can be more dangerous than most any other animal. We had 11 separate moose encounters, and it almost got to the point where I was like, oh, look, there's another moose.
Yeah.
I got a chance. I brought a pack raft with me this year, so I got a chance to pack raft and fish a number of the lakes. And I spent about 3 hours with a huge bull moose fishing Hatchet Lake, and it was just magical. I think I shared the video with you, and it was neat. I had.
Do we have that video?
Yeah, I think I sent it to you. So I'm out there. I'm just nailing the walleye. I got a bull moose sitting right next to me, and then here comes a calf and a cow coming down the hill. So I got 3 moose around me, checking all the boxes, and I'm like, man, this is like the best.
Chris, can you bring up that video? Actually,
I was napping, in case anyone was wondering.
What is the title of it?
It's gonna be like Miyagi Moose Encounter, Moose Isle Royale.
Okay,
one of those. Yeah, it's
so the funny the first moose encounter I had literally was up in Minnesota, and where we'd go fishing was Bemidji area, and me and my dad were out casting in the morning, and one was literally swimming across the lake, and it's like there's no land in sight, but you think about how big and bulky these animals are, but it was swimming with ease across that lake. I had no idea. I was just getting ready to cast. I'm like, what is that? It's like bigger than our boat.
Yeah.
So pretty wild.
Yeah. They swim incredibly well, and they can stay submerged for a little while too. They like to feed around the lake. In fact, the next day, that particular encounter, we had a father and son team. They had told us that after we had left in the morning, there was a single lone wolf that had come down and basically tracked that entire area around the lake where that moose had been, was just kind of following, no doubt was following its scent, but just amazing. And that moose spent the entire time feeding along the shore. And, I kept my distance to a point, but it didn't care about me. September, they're more interested in feeding and fattening up as much as they can before the wintertime and before the rut hits. So I did feel, some safety there being in the boat where I could maneuver a little bit faster than it could, but it was kind of magical to be around that large of an animal for that long of a period of time. But the rest of the time on the island, we had 10 more encounters, and some of them, it was literally, they were right off the trail, and it was kind of a standoff, and we had to make the decision, do we turn around, which is really hard because when you're on Isle Royale, you kind of have a set pattern that you got to go. Otherwise, you're going to spend another couple of days hiking to get around that animal. So, we had to make some, I think, kind of some sketchy decisions.
Well, we had a little bit of a standoff on that rainy morning with a cow and a calf too. She was on the trail, and we were, she was coming at us, and we didn't really have anywhere to go because it was kind of a steep hill to our left, and we stared each other down for, I don't know, 5 minutes, and she finally turned and trotted off. But, what do you do? There's not always a good escape route depending on where you are. So,
I mean, especially since they have a calf.
Yeah. Oh, and they could get very protective. I didn't realize how dangerous moose were. I don't know if you know, one of the guys I hike with quite regularly is Milos. And the second time I hiked with him up on the Superior Hiking Trail, we were attempting a speed record, and I don't know if we were second or third day into it, but he was a little ways ahead of me, and he saw a moose and literally screamed like a small girl, and he threw his back down and ran and hid behind the biggest tree he could find. And sometimes it's hard to understand what he's trying to say, but I caught moose and everything, and he was telling me that when he was growing up, they used to teach the children to hide behind the biggest object that you can find, because they don't have particularly the best eyesight or the best memory. So after a while of hiding, they'll usually kind of go on their way and do their thing.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
I was going to say this video is 6 minutes long. It's like 4 gigs. I can pull it up, but I can't guarantee how it's going to play. It's the Hatchet Lake one, right?
Yeah.
It's go ahead. Let's try it. Let's see if we can bring up a few seconds of it or something.
Okay.
So if not,
there's some good stuff right in the beginning there.
I had to download it.
Cool thing about pack rafting is you get to see stuff like this. I got a bull moose right there.
Oh my gosh.
Just hanging out with me. Yeah, I think it's cool. I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's a big boy.
Hanging out.
So imagine sitting there in your pack raft and you're fishing, you just kind of a beautiful day out. The weather was gorgeous, and he just didn't care that I was there. You can see how he's shedding a little bit. Yep, losing his velvet there. And he didn't make any aggressive noises or movements or anything. He was just real concerned on feeding. And this is what he did.
How long did it take you to clean your raft out?
Yeah. I tell you what, when I came around the corner and I first saw him, it was, my heart jumped out. I was like, ooh. And then I wasn't sure, do I, back up? I don't know how fast these things swim. But then he actually got into the water and he swam a pretty good ways, and I got a chance to see him swimming, and so that was really cool. And I'm pretty content in being able to outrun a moose in a small boat. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Great
He was a great animal.
That's really cool.
Awesome. Thanks for bringing that up, Chris. So, I think that's what's amazing about them being such great swimmers is how little their legs are. I mean, you're like, what is propelling these things? So, and I think their hooves are a little wider per se. I mean, I feel like they are. But the other thing that was funny, when we were on Isle Royale, there was what was that lookout that we went to? I can't remember the name of it, but I remember seeing. Yes, that was it. There was all kinds of like moose scat and prints everywhere on these little narrow ledge rocks. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, but man, they look clumsy, but they're not. I mean, they're incredibly agile animals.
And the cool thing about Isle Royale is there's no natural, well, other than the few wolf packs, but there's nothing that consumes the antlers or the shed. So you'll see these things on the trail all over the place. and it's a national park, obviously, so you can't take these things. So they're kind of preserved there for you to check out, and they are heavy. Like I had 2 of them in my hands, and I was trying to do the whole, Bullwinkle thing, and I'm like, trying to hold things up while she's taking my picture. And they're just immense. They're not like a set of whitetail antlers. These things are just bulky.
So the very first night I'm in a tent in Isle Royale, right? Okay, very first time I'm in a tent in the wilderness ever. We're laying down in the tent. We're actually in what was a 3-person Morrison. I'm up against the right, Sparky's up against the left. We got all of our gear in the middle, and
I like to watch you sleep.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's. Then he was out in the vestibule, so,
just staring at it all night.
Yeah, right. So I will say, side note, he does sound like he's turning into a zombie, and I was having a hard time not hitting him with my trekking pole when he sleeps. He snores horribly, but it was like, I don't know, like midnight, 1 a.m, something like that. You're not really sleeping your first night in a tent. You're just not. At least I wasn't. Maybe some people do. But I heard like heavy steps. I'm up against the sidewall of the tent, and it felt like a horse's nose went up against the tent right down my leg. And I'm like, what was that? And my nephew's like, the next morning, he's like, hey, did you hear the moose walking around? So it might have been a moose that was sniffing my tent for whatever reason. But
nice.
But that's crazy. That's
Speaking
awesome.
Of tent,
Any
Sparky,
other
Sparky, are you in a tent right now? It looks like you're in a tent.
Yeah, I'm in a tent right now. I'm actually in a princess tent.
Oh.
So I was thinking of Carlson, actually. And I even have a nice little ball pit right here. So I'm ready to break it out. But yeah, I love being in a tent whenever I can. I'm in one. I don't like sleeping in one. I prefer a hammock, but yeah, I love being outside.
That's awesome. Did you have any wolf encounters or anything like that?
No, we didn't. But if anyone's been to Isle Royale, you know that they have a lot of fox, and these fox are really different than anywhere else. Usually a combination of a black, a silver, and a red color. And the national park, when you get there, they do a little orientation where they give you a safety briefing and things, and you choose your route. And they tell you that each of the campsites that you go to usually has a resident fox. And it's really cool, but these fox also like to steal your things. It's kind of like a swipe or no swiping thing. And we found that out. We were at Chicken Bone campsite, and we had just set up, not too long. We had a pile of gear, and Trips had her raincoat.
Yeah.
Right?
Sitting right on top of my pack.
And it's the afternoon. It's not even dark out. And we're talking, and all of a sudden we see this fox come in, and literally it sneaks in, and it's staring at us the whole time, right? And it reaches out, and it grabs her raincoat.
It grabbed it with its teeth.
Yeah. It grabbed it with its teeth, and it started pulling it away while looking at us, like a naughty kid. And we're like, hey, and it drops it and then just runs around to the other side of the camp. And they said that they'd like to do that because of the sweat and things. And these right on the this was one of our camp foxes this year. I brought out a game camera, and I put out the game camera every night because I knew we were gonna have some wildlife encounters at night. And I wouldn't say every night, but most of the nights we were picking up fox like this. And you can see Trips's hammock in the upper right hand corner there. Literally went like right next to her.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty much you can see those. But the last time, I tried stealing her raincoat, and we had
That's Chicken Bone too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're almost guaranteed, even if you don't see one, there's going to be fox around. So watch your stuff. Make sure you have it tucked away. Otherwise, you might be down a shoe or a raincoat or something.
Do they climb trees?
I didn't see any tree fox. No.
I mean,
I didn't know if they did or not. I had no clue. That was just a general question.
No, thank God.
That would certainly complicate things.
Yeah.
He allows me to do all the planning on our trips. I'll just put it that way.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean,
awesome.
If you go to Isle Royale, you're most likely to see those two critters. Moose and fox are probably the most prevalent. There's only 2 packs, as far as I know, of wolves on the island, and it's fairly rare to see them. We did see lots of sign, lots of prints and scat.
We've also seen American river otter both
Oh
times
yeah,
we've been
we
there.
did. Yep, river otter.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Those are kind of cool to see.
Playing out in Lake Superior.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That would be wild. Lots of rabbit skeletons too.
Mm-hmm. Lots of fur.
Yeah, lots
Furry
of
poop.
Yep, fur.
Yeah.
Occasionally you come across a moose carcass. We came across one.
Mm-hmm.
So, with
Yeah.
over 2,000 moose, it's less than that now, but with that many animals on the island, it's just you're inevitably going to come across something like that.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I highly recommend it. It's a great hike. It's
Yeah.
deceivably hard though. I mean, it is.
It's very exposed.
It's very exposed. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of sun exposure
Yeah.
being up on the greenstone.
So when we went there, it was like really heavy with mud on the Rock Harbor Trail, and it's just like you're slugging through like
Mud.
8 inches deep mud, and you're trying to carry these heavy packs. At least at that time, before we went to, as David calls, my day pack. So it was a real pack, like 50 pounds or whatever, and it's really was hard to walk because you're just running into random rocks that are tucked in the mud, and
Yep.
you are right about that. So
Yeah,
awesome.
a lot of rock scrambles, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing those stories, dude. David, I know that you actually have a story of some wildlife encounters in southern Indiana. And it actually might surprise some people on what you ran into. Do you want to walk us through something that might happen to you?
Yeah, that was when was that? Last year, beginning of last year, almost a year ago, on the Peninsula Trail. My son was back for the Indianapolis 500, and the weather was going to be really nice, so we just took the opportunity to do an overnight trip on the Peninsula Trail, which is where I had done my first backpacking trip, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart. And we were probably only a quarter of a mile into it, and it was pretty dense woods at that particular point, and the trail was fairly narrow. It was kind of like on a steeper section, and the dogs, we had both dogs with me, which was kind of creepy. That's like my biggest concern is with the dogs. And I was out in front, and I basically heard something. Well, I stepped and heard this noise, and it was there was a huge rattlesnake, timber rattlesnake, coiled. And I looked down at my foot, and this thing was like about a foot away from my left foot on the trail, and he was curled up to strike with his rattler right straight up in the air, and he had made a really quick, loud rattling noise, and I had never heard that before. I'd never heard that in the wild or otherwise, and so it got my attention, and I wasn't sure if it had actually struck me at the time, because it was just it was so intense. The adrenaline was so intense, and my biggest concern right away was the dogs, because I knew Bailey, especially my chocolate lab, would be very curious about the snake. So my first thought was, as soon as I kind of got out of the way a little bit, was to make sure that Christian, it was like me and then both dogs in the middle, and then Christian was at the back, and he grabbed both the dogs. And the problem was, this thing was ginormous. It was as big around, I don't know what it was, as big around as a big baseball bat or a softball, and probably about 6 feet long or more. So it was a really large snake. And then right next to it, we saw there was another one. And then Christian found one. There was a downed log. They were in front of this downed log, and they were on the other side of this downed log. And then where we were going to try to go around them, because the video picture that you've got there, we were looking at the log, and right behind me was a pretty steep drop off. So we really couldn't go around that way. So we were going to go around back further in the woods, and we heard a fourth snake kind of right in the direction of where we were going to go around. So it was kind of a creepy situation. And I knew there were copperhead snakes in Indiana, but I didn't think there were any rattlesnakes. So it came as kind of a huge surprise to kind of stumble upon one that way. But it was funny, because then the next time, this was in the spring, I think, or June, and then in October we went back, and right in that same area there were some big skins. So I don't know if that's like where they live, but and when I got back, I kind of looked into it, and this is really one of the only areas of Indiana where there are rattlesnakes, down in that area.
Wow. Can you play a little bit of that clip, Chris? Let's see. He's chunky.
Those are some
Oh,
big
no.
rattlers.
Yeah, he never
Wow.
stopped rattling either.
Oh, there's a third one
There's
behind it.
another one right on the other side of the tree.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
done.
I'm
I had a heart attack.
Wow.
That's pretty
So,
cool.
Where
have you
was
ever
this at?
What's that?
Where was this at?
That was on the Peninsula Trail,
Southern
Really?
Indiana.
right by where we
Yeah.
do the meetup.
Oh, wow. It just brought back memories. It feels like that's where they were filming, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom or something with all those snakes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I am not about snakes. I'm sorry. That is
Yeah.
crazy, David.
Yeah, we were paying attention on the way back. Well, you got to walk right by that area on the way back because it's listed out and back trail. So we were definitely paying attention, but we never saw them again.
So is that
Wow.
that's got to be a big concern with the dogs too, like because you've been in a lot of places where they inhabit, but
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, I'm always worried. That's one of my biggest worries because I don't usually walk with them on a leash.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of a concern that they're going to get into something. We've never had any problems with it, but that one was pretty. I was fortunate because normally Bailey will be walking out in front. She'll just be moseying around, and in that particular case, I was actually out in front, so I was able to grab her and keep her because you don't know what she'll be curious. She'll just go up to the thing and think it's something that wants to play.
yeah, that's crazy, wild. So, well, all right. So let's. I want to bring up a list here. I'm going to have a little discussion here, and I'm actually curious. Before Chris brings it up, what do you think? And this is in the U.S. The top 10 most dangerous animals in the U.S. would be. What do you think would be the top 1 or 2 items on that list? And go ahead and put that in the chat too.
Yeah, red squirrel.
Big fat.
My first guess was humanity.
Red squirrels.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sparky.
What's that?
Humanity.
Humanity. That's my first one because we're going to screw everything up. No matter what it is, we will screw it up.
Sure.
That's good. That's probably pretty
That
true.
that is true. That's my biggest fear out in the wild is people, not animals.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you bring that up. I mean, because how long ago was it till there were some major issues on the AT? That was just a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
When you're by road crossings, and
Carlson says moose are number 1 and Sparky's number 2.
Oh, so what else we got? MK moose.
Deadliest animals, or what are we talking?
Dangerous.
Most dangerous.
Okay.
And
Dangerous. It doesn't have to be
How many
deaths, but
people get
hurt.
killed?
Yeah. So, all right, Chris, can you bring up that list? Let's take a look and see what the top 10 is. I like what is Shuddering John Mendez. That could be dangerous, MK.
Yeah, mosquitoes in the way. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a good one too. Let's see.
Ticks.
I feel like ticks are pretty dangerous.
Ticks.
Yeah. Is it going to be animals though? I don't know if that's going to.
Yeah.
I don't think those count as animals, but
Scroll on down there.
alligators. Yeah,
Those are on
okay.
Yeah.
Cougars.
True.
Cougars, coyotes, and wolves.
Yeah, I don't like cougars.
Hmm.
They-
All
they
right,
munch
spiders,
on
scorpions, insects are on there. That is interesting. But bears is all the way down at 7, and that's usually that's my biggest fear is a
them.
grizzly.
Moose isn't even on that list.
Yeah, which is wild.
Snakes in general.
Hmm.
Coyotes and wolves.
I don't have to worry about the alligators, so we
No,
get
not
that.
so much.
Check,
Not many
check
of
that
those
off.
in Indiana, yeah.
Although
Spider-
they have been seeing more cougars in our area in the boreal forest up in Minnesota.
Really?
Yep, up Minnesota and
We also
northern
were-
Michigan,
We also
Wisconsin.
had a spat of black bears running down the interstate.
We
for a
did
while there.
actually. We've had a sighting here in Wisconsin. We're from southeastern
We had one in
Wisconsin.
Lake Geneva.
We had a black bear sighting, and we also had a cougar sighting too.
Interesting.
Mm.
So I wonder if they because there's been a huge push to bring elk from the west out east since 2012. I think they even introduced a bunch of them into Shenandoah. They've introduced them into Kentucky. You almost wonder, did that come along with them?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
'cause
Well,
The predator.
We've been seeing a lot of that. I remember growing up in our area, we never had turkeys, and now we see turkeys
Yeah.
everywhere. Same thing
Yep.
with Bald eagles. We live on a small river here, and we have 2 mating pairs of bald eagles here where we're at. In fact, I always tease with Trips. I'm like, gosh, in our backyard, we see more wild animals and critters in our backyard than we ever see on backpacking trips, minus Isle Royale.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
But I mean, literally, we're seeing stuff now that we've never seen growing up.
Yeah.
Well, cougars would actually be, because cats sometimes just kill to kill, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you almost, I know it's not a house cat, but it's still a feline, and you almost wonder, how dangerous are cougars? I would actually be more scared of cougars than anything, to be honest with you, because you're not going to hear them coming.
No, they'll come through. They'll hunt
That's why
you.
in your hat you have to have little eyeballs. Get some little googly eyeballs, and you put them on the back of your hat.
Yeah. You brought up a good point, David. Like they will like stalk you. I mean, and you have no idea it's coming. Whereas a bear, running through the woods, I mean, that's at least you kind of hear a charge at that point. So actually, there was we're going to go ahead and bring this up since we're going to transition right into this. There was a cougar that followed the hiker. Do you guys remember that story? I can't remember where it was. If somebody in the chat remembers where it was it in Colorado or something like that?
Yeah,
but he
walked,
right.
Yeah,
he walked quite a ways. Chris, I don't know if you can bring up that video, but that was actually kind of interesting. And I got a question for you. Should we add laser lights to our safety kits as backpacking? Because would that work on a cougar? I'm just wondering. I mean, it's like cats can't help but want to play with laser lights. I'm like,
get them down.
I volunteer
for a great video, man.
Yeah, Eitan, I volunteer you to be
To
the
test that theory.
test
Yeah,
the
you
theory.
do the experiment.
Yeah.
Hey, if I got one coming after me, I'll use whatever I can. So,
Yeah.
but I'm actually curious of what your thoughts are and what he did. If you thought he did a good job, or yeah, go ahead, Sparky.
Yeah, I don't see that laser light really being that effective. The only cougar encounter I've ever had was down in Florida, and I just had to turn around and say, "Listen, lady, back up, back up. We're done here." And that was it. So I don't know if a laser light would have really helped in that situation, but
You could try to blind them.
Yeah.
that's true. Maybe that would have helped. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Who's your outdoor
Stick to the
says
pepper spray.
they just buy you drinks and point them towards your friends.
Good call, Trips. Good call. All right, if we roll that clip.
I need to read the comments more.
Who survived a terrifying ordeal is speaking out. A cougar began stalking the man even by the hiker. ABC's Megan Tavrizian shows us more.
This morning, a terrifying encounter. Kyle Burgess was hiking near Provo, Utah.
Is that a baby right
when he
there?
first spotted cougar cubs.
They were cougars.
Yeah.
And Mama was near.
Then, seconds later, the cub's mother
Oh,
pounces.
here, kitty, kitty,
No.
kitty.
Go away. Go away. Please go away.
That cougar.
Yeah, that's how I
immediately
sounded.
started
Yep.
stalking Burgess.
I like how polite he is. He's very polite.
Please,
Yeah.
please go away.
Yeah.
His phone.
Come on, dude. I don't feel like dying today.
The cougar at times lunging at him.
Go away.
I kind of feel like he just wanted to scare him away from his cub. Otherwise, he'd have been
The
dead.
trail runner slowly backing away, making loud noises and trying to appear bigger. Finally, Burgess was able to throw a rock at the cat and it runs away.
In the video, you see she pounces quite often. And every time she pounces, it's when I either looked away from her directly,
No.
or I went to look for a rock. And so really it just came down to like, well, I just need to wait for a better opportunity to actually grab the rock to where she's not going to pounce on me.
Burgess waited 30 minutes before hiking the 2 miles back down the canyon. He says watching YouTube videos helped him know what to do during those terrifying moments.
Wow.
Shout out to YouTubers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how he's he's got the rock, but man, he's pretty steady with that camera. He didn't miss the beat.
Yeah. Got to get the shot. Man.
Mad props to that young man.
Yeah, he
That's
had
the
good
new
stabilizer.
upgraded phone that helps with any vibrations or shaking. It's really good.
I'd
Probably
like to
right.
add, he'll probably get fined for that video
Because of the new laws.
because the new laws. So I just want to add that in.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, okay.
It's possible he paid his permit. You never know.
Yeah. So Yeah, I thought he did pretty good. I didn't actually know two things. I didn't know that there was a cub involved, which kind of changes the game, I think, with any adult animal around. If there's babies involved, mama's not going to be happy. Two, I always wondered why he didn't just pick up rocks and throw it, and then he explained it there. He didn't feel like, it had been the right time. Maybe he got pounced. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, anything he should have done different?
No, I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He slowly backed away. He kept his eyes on it instead of turning around. And I mean, to me, the behavior of that cat, it was protective. That wasn't a predatory where she's looking for her next meal. That was, get out of here. Yeah, these are my kids, and I don't want you anywhere in the area.
Yeah, very valid point. What about you, David? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. That was that's what I would be doing. And I'd be backing away. You don't want to run. You definitely don't want to turn around, and you don't want to run. So
yeah. And we know David would probably get that shot as well. Yeah. So that's the one thing we can count on.
Camera first.
That's right. Oh, that's awesome.
This is why I don't go out, because I would be screaming like a little girl running. That would be me.
MK Ultra brings up a good point that it's possible that Cougar did not have a consent and release form, so he might be looking at some liability right there.
Yeah. Well, that very well could be. That very well could be. So, all right, next one, grizzly bears, another top, usually something somebody's worried about, and I think more so like David, you've been out to Glacier how many times, but you've never really had a grizzly encounter. Is that accurate? Or
well, one time we think we did. It was on the second trip in 2014 up by Kootenai Lake. And if you've ever been in that area, it's kind of in the far northern part of Glacier. And there's a trail that goes from the lake, or not Kootenai Lake, but Waterton Lake, the one that the ferry comes in. There's I think it's about 2 or 3 miles south of there to get to Kootenai. And on that trail between Waterton Lake and Kootenai, we on the way back, it was a beautiful day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and it had rained pretty much the whole day the day before. We were just walking down this trail, and the trail was at the bottom of a valley. So you had kind of a hill, relatively steep hill on both sides. And I heard a loud, really big, loud noise. And up the hill to the left was probably about 40, 50 feet up the hill from us. On the other side of a tree was what looked like a small grizzly, kind of had the hump on the back and all that, but we didn't really get a good look at it. And it was one of those moments when I reached for the camera before I even reached for the bear spray, which probably isn't in the training, but kind of instinct. Well, he took off. I mean, it was, I'd love to say it was one of those moments where, you get the camera out and we're getting the stare down with the bear, but like the second all of that happened, he took off up the hill. So there was no, he wasn't stalking us or anything, and we didn't really even get all that great of a look at him. But when you realize there's like no cage between you and this thing, it's like one of those moments where your heart's beating really good, and it took us a few minutes to kind of recompose ourselves. But that is literally the only bear situation I've had out in the wild. That was back in 2014. And I think all the times we've been in Glacier and the winds and Sierra Nevada and every place, it's like, and the funny thing is, when we were, I think it was the first time we were in Glacier, we were hiking with a couple from Canada. No, they were from Europe, and they had bells all over. That was like the big thing back then. They put bells on their trekking poles and bells on their packs. I mean, it was annoying as hell hiking with them. But they had, I don't know, they said 6-8 encounters with bears. And we actually camped one night with a Forest Service dude that had been kind of part of the team that had tested or developed the bear spray at the time. And he called them dinner bells, because the bears are really curious, when they hear noises like that. So the people who had the bells on were having the most encounters with bears, because they would actually come to wherever they were just to see what was going on. Now, you're not going to startle them, so it's probably safer, because you're not really going to, have a surprise encounter with them. But it was pretty interesting that the people that were making the noise had the most bear encounters.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, there was that one occurrence at Wind River Range where they moved in on our camp after we left.
Yeah, after the steak dinner and
I was going to say the steak dinner and potatoes had nothing to do with that in bear country.
Sorry about that.
You took a steak dinner out to the winds.
Yeah.
Yeah, guess who carried the steak?
I mean, I like steak, but man, woo.
It was really good though.
It was really good. I will say that.
First night. Yeah.
That's crazy. And,
how about
in
you,
all
Bear
of,
County?
I was going to say, in all of our years of hiking, we have even yet to see a bear.
Really?
Nope.
So,
I mean, from the car, we've seen plenty of bear, but literally on trail, and we're talking, I mean, we probably got over 1,000 miles under our belt easy.
Yeah, and a lot of it, several hundred in the Smokies, and several hundred through Virginia.
Yep, Shenandoah, Smokies, all
That's
throughout.
my experience too. Yeah, the only time we've seen when we saw a bear from the car at Glacier this last year in 2022, saw a bear at Yellowstone from the car. A lot of bears came from it. Yeah, but never when we've been hiking.
Oh, Carlson, you get comment of the day. How can you tell the difference between black bear and grizzly bear scat? Grizzly bear scat has bills in it. Oh, that's awesome.
That's funny. I don't know if they still do.
So I actually ran into one black bear in my entire time of backpacking, going down to Tennessee. Grizzlies can sense Canadians, nice. And it was actually at Shenandoah. There's Old Rag Mountain. And it's a pretty long uphill. And I was actually going to camp out as high as I could before camping wasn't allowed. Then I was going to do the last 800-foot rock scramble and then work my way down and go to White Oak Canyon Falls. So I ended up staying as high as I could on Old Rag Mountain. And as you're going up, it talks about bear canisters and, making sure you're taking care of your stuff because they're all over the place. Well, the next day before I got to the summit, I remember walking up this hill and it's almost like a tunnel. There's like trees and rock features all along. And way up the trail, I was like, was that the biggest dog I've ever seen just cross the trail? I mean, it just darted across and instantly you're thinking, okay, I don't see anybody else. There's no person walking now. So I start clicking my poles, making noise as I walk up. I walk up to the edge of the rock wall and it's kind of like a little narrow path to get through, and I poke my head around the rock wall and I see this bear. I may have the picture on Instagram at one of my older pictures, but I'm looking right at this bear that's looking right back at me, and really the only good path is right by him. So and we both kind of had that same look, like, how do we get past each other? So I didn't feel threatened. It's just like, we're trying to figure a way around this. So I look over to my left and there's this other rock wall that I was going to climb because I had a tree close to it. I could use that to get up the rock wall. I get up to the top and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, as I pull myself up, at least there's no bears up here, right? So I about step in bear poop at that time. So they've obviously been up there and it was full of berries. So I walk across this rock feature and I look back, and within 5 seconds of looking back at the bear and then jumping down on the trail, probably about, 15 yards away from where he was, I look back again, the bear's gone, and a guy is walking right through that trail, right through that path that I had to work myself around. And I said, hey, there's a black bear that was literally just there. Did you see it? He's like, no. So somehow that black bear disappeared. And it makes you realize that these animals see you way before you see them. Yeah. And they're excellent climbers. So I don't know if black bears can rock climb or what, but he somehow disappeared. I mean, it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Trips and I have always commented, in our hikes, how many animals that we've seen versus how many have seen us. And I bet you it's 10 to 1.
Oh.
Easy.
Oh, I agree. I want to bring up, there's a grizzly goat video, Chris. I think there are a couple of shorts off of YouTube that we want to bring up. And I'd be curious, David, you might recognize if it's Glacier or not. I'm not sure if it's said in the description or, but yeah, this is it. So I'm just curious at how you guys would feel in this situation.
Yeah, that looks like Glacier.
That's why I was thinking. I wasn't sure. Oh.
That looks like the Hidden Lake Trail.
goats being chased by a grizzly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Hidden Lake Trail at Glacier from leaves from Logan Pass.
It's going for the goat. It's going for the goat.
There you go.
That's where you see most mountain goats there.
Yeah. So literally, I'm sorry, the video wasn't quite working. So Amish internet maybe, but literally what was happening was the goat like ran by the crowd, and then right behind it was a mountain goat. So here you are, you got people all around, and now we've got wildlife that's hunting each other right amongst the crowd. I mean, to me, that would kind of be a terrifying situation that I'd worry about, because if he loses the goat, is he going to turn and go to somebody else?
Yeah, you got a hungry bear right there.
Yeah,
and a
absolutely.
lot of people. If that is that trail, that's a really popular trail.
Yeah. I don't know. See if you can get that second one to play, Chris. That other one, the short. See if you can get that one to come up if it's any better. Oh yeah, there's the goat.
And the goat's running at him. That's great.
Yes.
And there's the bear.
Oh, there goes the bear.
Oh my God.
That's even more intense.
That's Logan Pass for sure. Those mountains in the background.
See, that's a smart
really
goat
cool.
right there.
Yeah, you get the people. Look at me.
Towards the people.
Oh, that is really cool.
That's what I would have done. For sure.
Wow. Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
a
Chris.
great video.
Yeah, so that's a very good comment, Miyagi. So we got
goat.
I don't have to outrun everyone. I just have to outrun you.
Here, you deal with the bear now.
But I mean, it's like you could be doing everything right, and all of a sudden a mountain goat comes up, and your world's upside down. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not that grizzly bear attacks happen often, but when they do, it's never a good situation. So, all right.
I'm just thinking of all of us that have kids. If that bear actually caught the goat, how do we explain that to our children? Well, we see Lion King. You know what? We know it's the circle of life. Pull up some barbecue sauce. I mean, how would you address this? Because
Jurassic Park. You've seen Jurassic Park. They lower the goat in.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that is a good point. What was it? There's one, you guys will have to look it up, but I think there's like a grizzly bear eating a moose behind a wedding or something like that out in Glacier. I'm pretty sure I came across a video that was like that. So, I mean, grizzlies don't care. I mean, they don't care about anything else other than what they're eating at that point in time. So, another topic I want to talk about, you know, especially you see it more and more with deforestation becoming a problem. Wildlife is being condensed more into urban areas or civilized areas. I mean, no, Sparky, you had the issue with, what was it, the black bear opening up your car in Gatlinburg?
Yeah, so my bear encounter, I have never seen one on trail because I don't want to go outside unless Jeremy drags me out. But I have probably seen a dozen or more bears when I rent a cabin in Tennessee. Yeah. Every year we go there, they are all over the place. And actually, we talked about this before, but I never knew that they could climb trees as well as it. Now you have to look up too. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. What is this? They're all over the place.
They're like bears climb trees, fox do not.
That's why I asked Miyagi. I'm like, do they climb trees? Because I just figured this out that bears can. What else can?
Cougars can, bobcats can. Yeah, bears can.
Yeah, I think cougars, don't they take their prey up into the tree?
They do.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right, so let's bring up this video number 1 on civilizations and animals segment. So basically, you know, you think of a concerned person in the wilderness, but anymore, it's like we almost have to worry about it out and about our property, where we live, our residencies, where we're visiting. I mean, how many deer do you see laying on the side of the road? Take that out west. Now, what happens, like you said, when a car hits a moose or, you know, an elk? I mean, it's extreme damage. So, but I think that sometimes, like, you know, we're causing ourselves a few more issues with deforestation, but now all of a sudden we have to kind of somewhat cope together with the wildlife. But check out this video. This is just wild to me.
Unintended.
That is a beautiful elk, by the way.
Yeah, that really is. Wow. Where is? Oh, Estes Park. Man, look at that.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Whoa. Look at that rack.
Compared to the size of that truck. He taps the mirror.
Hey, Flo from Progressive. Am I covered under this?
Right?
Just go.
He is. I mean, if they're big enough and they don't want to move. I mean, David, we had a hard time getting the marmots out of the way in Colorado.
Yeah. Didn't have a rack like that, though.
No.
Wow.
No.
That guy owns that road. That is his road.
Isn't that a beautiful animal, though?
Impressive, man. That's yeah.
Trips
You really
and I had
get
a
feel
similar
for 'em.
experience when we were in the Great Smoky Mountains. There was coming right through. What was the gift shop over there by Smokemont? Anyway, we're kind of through that area, and we had to stop because there was a guy. Not quite. The rack wasn't quite that big, but it was, pretty sizable.
He was bugling.
And he was bugling because he was following some females out into the meadow.
Oh wow!
It almost looked like that one was in the rut.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get all stupid.
Gorgeous.
They do.
Don't we all, brother?
Yeah.
Same.
That's true. That's
Awesome.
true.
Awesome. So this one I actually found kind of comical, and I instantly thought of Wisconsin, Minnesota. This involves a moose. It's video number 2. But what made me think of was there were times, like as I said, when I was a kid, we'd fish up in Minnesota, so we'd make that drive up there. You're driving through Wisconsin and Minnesota early in the morning. You may see some bear in some guy's yard, and you're thinking this dude's going to go out and get his paper and just walk right into a bear or something, you know. So, but I thought this is pretty wild. If you can play this clip, again, moose are always a little concerning.
Oh,
You might recognize this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, the Ring doorbell.
Yeah, don't you love it? I mean, what kind of video do we get now from our doorbells? This is great.
Just going out to the shed. Nothing to see here.
Oh.
I love his reaction too. Oh, better go inside.
Go back in.
He was coming for him too.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Where'd he go?
He said, "Sir, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty."
Oh, that is fantastic. So basically, he just hides in the shed until the big boy leaves. But have you guys ever heard anything like that? I mean, maybe up north more so.
That's what they teach the kids up there.
Yeah.
Yep. You go behind the the building or the biggest object you can find, and eventually they forget about you.
That's a great comment. Problem with elk and deer, they don't realize how delicious they are. That is true.
Especially elk.
Elk are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So fantastic. All right. Well, we're gonna move along here. I try to get this going, but I got a couple videos I want to bring up. And David, I thought about your snake situation. So this next segment's people mistakes. We've seen what people do right with their encounters. Now let's see maybe what they probably shouldn't have done. So let's play people mistakes video 1, if you can bring that up.
This whole section is probably dedicated to me. Thank you.
Yes, you and the tree climbing fox.
I'm literally sitting face to face with a wild and highly venomous.
And this guy's all in. He's like, if I'm gonna get bit, I'm selling it.
And I am afraid to move. I am frozen in my tracks right now.
Oh, he gets
I
better.
don't even want to move my arms. All I did is sit down to take a little breather because it is about 95 degrees outside.
He
And
sits right
crawling
next
out
to
of the
snake.
brush over to my left was this guy. And I don't know what to do. And try to blow on him to get him to move.
Pet him.
Pet him.
Man, that thing is
He's not
just
moving at
staring
all.
him down too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
you're
trying
gonna
to
move
touch his
before
tail
him.
to get him to move. Oh, I am shaking. Oh, he sees me.
Oh
He
gosh.
sees me.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
just tweaking, man. Oh.
I do not want to move right now.
You think?
I am
It's
shaking.
probably.
Little too late for that.
You ever see the screw around and find out chart?
Yeah.
He's up here. That
Yeah.
guy's right up here.
For sure.
He's
Oh
about
my
to find out.
Oh man, he's gonna bite him in a really bad spot too.
This is the danger
Oh
of
my-
sitting in the wild.
Is there a good spot?
Do not take
Well,
a
there's-
moment just
there's-
to observe your surroundings.
Certainly not that spot.
Yeah.
Come on, go the other way. Go the other way. I don't know what to do. I think
He's sweating it now.
Yeah, I'm sweating it.
Come on, go the other way. Yeah.
Right up his shirt.
Yeah.
You gone?
Andy's out.
Oh my god.
That was pretty intense, right?
Did he get bit? It didn't
No.
look like
No, he
okay.
didn't get bit. He got out without getting
That's-
tagged.
See that?
Yeah,
I don't know if that is
I'd feel
adrenaline.
like that just watching it.
Or if that is fear. But I had to think quick. And I had to move out of
Like
this
a-
guy's way as
Like the
fast as
crocodile-
possible.
Crocodile man or the
Yeah, I
Man,
think that.
his camera work was on point.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, can we talk about the cameraman for just a minute?
Yeah. Like I'm just gonna act like nothing's happening here.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like cameraman's like, hey man, this is gonna be great.
That's right.
Because I'm
So this
standing
is
over here a
always-
safe distance away watching
Yeah.
your ass get bit.
Whatever happens, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, I feel like that was his attitude. So I kind of also like that's a big fear for me, right? Like especially when you go down to Kentucky. I mean, you know, Kentucky is. I've heard and I've read a couple of different reports that, especially like the Red River Gorge is kind of the copperhead capital of the U.S. I've heard up to 5 per acre, and that number kind of fluctuates. So I've never seen one. Again, I'm sure more have seen me, but every time I sit down there or every time I step over a log, it's like I always look around me before I sit down. So, and I mean, that guy, I feel like he was probably trying to do maybe some type of showmanship with that, and it didn't go the way he hoped, maybe. But
You know, Jeremy, Trips never knew that about Red River. Thanks for bringing that.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. She was like, "You drug me down there many times. You never told me about this."
I've never seen one though, Trips. Honestly, all the years I go down there at least 4 times a year. I've never.
I'm
really
going to be
seen one
texting you multiple times, Jeremy. Mm-hmm.
there. Sorry about that.
Yep.
My bad.
Yep.
but no, seriously though, it's like, you know, imagine, you know, just not looking what you're doing. You sit down and boom, you're right next to a rattlesnake. I mean, if I was that camera guy, should have probably put down the camera and got the snake away from him if it was real. I would have thought. So instead of, hey, this would be great.
What they didn't tell you is they actually defanged it, and that was his pet.
Yeah.
It's been his pet for the last 10 years.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. All right, number 2. So let's go to people mistakes number 2. All right.
So what was the mistake out of that last one? He brought his pet?
Look before you sit down.
Oh, God.
Bison
Oh, God.
tosses woman out of her pants.
And watch out for tree
But this
climbing
woman
fox.
starts raising concerns.
How close does she have to get?
She seems fearless as she approaches the huge beasts.
That's not fearless. That's stupid.
Then it all goes horribly wrong.
I really had to look hard to find an edited version of this video.
The woman is tossed around on the horns of one of the beasts.
She doesn't have any pants.
He's at the top of that.
She has no pants on? No, not anymore.
They got ripped off.
Witnesses rush
Yeah.
to help the stricken
Not
woman.
anymore.
She got too close.
Yeah.
There's a buffalo out there with that woman's jeans hanging from its antler. And she is right here.
You can see the jeans hanging from the bison's horns.
She's lucky she
Eventually,
didn't die.
This guy manages to retrieve them.
Oh my gosh, there's her keys. We weren't sure if she was alive or if she was dead, but then she did finally move her hand a little bit as she was getting help.
The accident at Custer State Park in South Dakota is the latest bison drama caught on camera. This
Whoa.
youngster survived a bison attack in Yellowstone last year And this Yellowstone visitor actually started taunting one of the animals.
Oh God, no! I can't stop this nonsense.
Yeah,
okay,
perfect.
these are
Thank you,
wild
Chris.
animals.
Ron McGill of Zoo Miami.
I think one of the things that makes bison so dangerous is that they don't really give you signs of getting agitated. You know, a cat will put its ears back, will snarl, and do something. A bison might be grazing,
right.
and then in a split.
Cool. Thank you. So, I mean, why in the world is a selfie that important? Right. Right. I mean, I think sometimes we get so wrapped up into seeing these places and feeling like we're in a petting zoo, but to your guys' point, there's no bars between the animal and you, and it's all for Instagram or whatever it is.
We just witnessed Darwinism at its best.
That's right. Yeah, we actually were just out in Sister this last year, and yeah, it's amazing. But sometimes they'll walk right to you. We were in one of the BLM camping areas, and there was a bunch of people there. I don't know, probably over 50 people camping in this one area, and this one, bison decides to walk right through camp and literally was just hanging out with everybody, and everybody kept their distance and things by their vehicles, but
Yeah. Well, David, when we went to Land Between the Lakes, I mean, they had bison there, but there were signs all over the place not to get out of your car, like to stay in your car.
Yeah.
So, and you're looking at these massive animals. I think they had elk there too, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a bison and elk range. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, literally signs everywhere. Don't
get out of the car.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. But yeah, it's again, these animals are unpredictable, and like you said, they could just walk up right to you. I mean, that's not the same as the wild ponies walking through camp at Grayson Highland.
No, no, not at all.
All right. Let's go ahead and actually, there's one more. Not all of them end in devastation, though. Sometimes these wild animal encounters, they're almost just unbelievable. So let's skip to number 4 on people mistakes. So this is a bear encounter that could have probably been worse, but it's almost like nature that day was smiling on you.
Topic video out of Mexico shows a moment a black bear walks right up to a group of hikers and begins
Oh my gosh.
a woman's hair. The bear apparently quite interested in this one young woman in particular. She was hiking for other people in an ecological park in San Pedro Garcia, Mexico, when this happened. And now some people might scream or try to run in a situation like this, but this young woman and her friends are all pretty nonchalant about the whole thing. In fact, the woman whips out her cell phone to take a selfie with the bear.
No way.
Ends up next to her on its hind
she
legs,
does.
clearly ready for its close-up. The bear then begins to
That
walk
would be
away
a
before turning
great
back,
shot.
and you'll see it here, making a beeline for the woman.
She got a
Watches
selfie with that
what he
bear.
does this time. He tries to
Right
right
over her shoulder.
and then swings his paws at her before casually walking away. Of course, this is not something experts encourage you to do if you encounter a bear in the wild. Just the opposite, actually. The best thing that you could do is yell loudly at that bear, making as much noise as possible, hopefully scaring it from the area and preserving its natural fear of humans.
I don't think
know if
when
you've
he's
ever seen a
standing
bear
over you
attack
like
a bear.
that, you
No.
won't be yelling at it.
No, I agree with that.
To that point.
I agree with that 100%.
He's like, hey girl, how you doing?
What they don't tell you is she's actually got tater tots in her pocket.
Got something in her pocket. Yeah.
Yep.
It was smelling something good.
So what's funny is one of us out of this panel, and we all know who that would be, would still get that shot with the bear hanging up, standing beside you. We all know who it is, but no, that's kind of one of those. Yeah, you probably should have made the noise before, instead of maybe getting to. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely should make some noise. The quintessential "Hey bear, hey bear."
Well, that had to be a place where
Well, it did.
bears are acclimated to people. I would think wherever I don't know where that was, but it seems like those bears are really used to people.
It said it was like an eco refuge or something.
Did you notice the tag on its ear?
Yeah.
Had a little.
No, I didn't notice
yeah,
that.
That was a tag bear.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a wildlife area.
Like a wildlife refuge.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Bears
All right.
Trying to get some
So
action.
it brings us to our last segment. I got 2 videos I want to get your thoughts on. And it's going to be, this is kind of the funny stories breakdown. I love these. It's just the I guess, the lighter part of wildlife encounters. So we're going to go with the first one, number 1. And I'm just curious about if you've ever heard of anything like this happening before.
Paul High is working the graveyard shift when he comes face to face with a 500-pound black bear.
I was on my way to go change the outside trash, and I was walking towards our automatic door, and it opened. And then I tried to come in, so I stepped towards him, and then he comes.
That's a big bear, man.
What does that mean?
And though working in this area has given Paul plenty of bear handling experience, this time is different.
I usually have to run him off at least once or twice a night out of the parking lot, never out of the store though. I was just trying to get him out. That way he didn't, trash the whole place.
And this bear's behavior is making that much easier said than done.
As soon as the bear lunged at me, my whole train of thought changed, and I was just like, yeah, you can have whatever you want, man.
Just take it and go.
There's one item in particular
nice conversation
that looks a little
with the bear.
tastier than Paul.
I don't know where that is, but
Please tell me it's Cheetos.
It's
That
Snickers.
bear would be alive for
Candy
very
bars
long.
isn't the bear's only score. On another night,
That was the other graveyard guy. His name is Dave. Apparently that night, the bear laid down on the floor and ate a whole box of Three Musketeers.
Yes.
but even after the sweet feast, Paul's coworker has a much more difficult time getting
like,
the
what are you
bear out
gonna
of the
do?
store and calls for help. When authorities arrive, the bear finally acquiesces. But not before grabbing one more snack for the road.
Those are really good, man.
Ain't
You
dumb.
want a monster to go with it?
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Oh, that is fantastic. They're creatures of habit, right? I mean, I think that kind of talks to how stinking intelligent those animals are. Like, and it's only going to get worse as we do more deforestation, our cities get bigger, there's more of that interaction between the two. But I think bears tend to be just amazing at what they can figure out. I mean, that's why you're only allowed certain bear canisters for certain parks, because maybe some of them figured out how to open them or what have you. I think, was it Adirondacks, I think, David, wasn't it, where we were only allowed to use certain canisters because the bear figured out how to open the BV, was a 450 or one of the BV series bear vault bear canisters. So yeah. Well, I think it was yellow, and it taught its cubs how to open it. What it would do, it'd put the canister on its side and literally sit on it, and it would pop the lid right off. Yeah. So
Yeah, they're not dumb.
No, they're not. And they go to the same area. And it's like, that's why we sometimes, have you guys ever had to deal with like rerouting or rechanging your trip because of campsites being closed?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
In the Smokies.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like him.
Smokies.
I know. That bear's a triple crown.
Triple crown. He was just there to resupply. So he's just getting some things.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. So, all right. Last video, we're going to go to let's do number 4. So this will be the last one of the funny stories. We'll wrap this thing up. This one takes place in Australia, I think.
Seeing Max on the ball. When, to our horror, turns out to be something all together. Oh, no! Here! Hey! Go, just there! Whoa, go! Hey! But all is not as it seems. The big buck actually has hold of the dog, not the other way around. As it runs, we realise this could get dangerous.
Kangaroo.
Oh
no.
Yeah.
Finish him.
Well, we're not sure what's going on here, but the Roo has the dog. Not.
Oh, he took that shot and smiled. So I never realized how dangerous kangaroos are. I never knew that. I just thought
Very
them
strong. They're ripped.
Yes. Yeah, I wish I would have had the mindset to bring it up, but there's actually this one kangaroo on the internet that he looks like a bodybuilder. He's so big, and he's known for being able to bend metal bars. And I'm like, that's absolutely incredible. So,
hey, Jeremy, before we go, do you have a chance to pull up my video from the Grand Canyon? I want to show.
Yeah.
I'd like to show everybody this really cool trick that I found that I wanted to do when I was out there. I went out 2 years ago now. We did rim to rim hike, but some of the scorpions in the Grand Canyon fluoresce under black light. So I went out at night and I brought a black light with me. And sure enough, you go out in the desert, the desert areas, and if you can find
that, that would
be
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of people know about it. I haven't seen too many videos out there on it, but it works, and it's really, really awesome.
Now, I've never seen a scorpion in the wild. Even when I went out to Arizona, it was kind of their winter time, so I got to miss out on the Mojave rattler and the desert centipedes and tarantula hawks and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we never saw them during the daytime, but at night, if you got that, because they like to come out on the rock when it's, after dark.
Well, our buddy Jim talks about them, Sparky, about they get in the house. They get in the houses all the time.
And they weren't very big, they're just small little guys, but it was really cool.
That's crazy.
I think you have that video, don't you?
Yeah, I should. Are you able to? Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's wild.
Wow.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So if you're ever out in the Grand Canyon doing a hike, bring one of those small little black lights with you, little UV.
Oh, dude.
So that was
Just
Rob.
how freaking cool is that, huh?
That is really cool.
Now, is that true? The smaller they are, they're more potent. Their sting.
I've heard that. I think it depends on the species.
It
I have no idea what kind these were, but it was really kind of neat to see.
Man, it's like glow in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it was amazing how many there were. kind of makes you wonder when you're walking around out there. I wouldn't recommend walking around barefoot.
Now, did you sleep on the ground out there, or?
Yes.
So did you have to do anything special to keep them from crawling in with you, or?
No, just zip up your tent.
Yeah.
Keep your tent closed.
Neat how they fluoresce like that.
Yeah.
Pretty
cool.
Light.
That is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought everybody would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Little trick if you're ever out in the Grand Canyon, bring yourself a fluorescent light.
That's a very valid.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming on, and David, thanks for filling in. Shills, we were going to have the Shill brothers on tonight, but Kevin had last minute dad duty. So
nice to know I'm always second choice, though, Jeremy. I like that. It's okay. I'll play second fiddle to the Shills anytime. So.
We're glad to have you, David.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
always
David.
a pleasure. Yeah,
That's fun.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you. So why don't you guys go ahead and tell everybody how to get a hold of you and your different handles and all that other fun stuff on your channels.
Sure. Miyagi and Trips, you'll catch us on YouTube, Miyagi on the Trail. We're also on Instagram under the same name. We like to post probably put more stuff up on Instagram than we do YouTube, but we're going to try to get back into it here in 23. We got lots of material. And next week, I'm heading up to the Boundary Waters. We're going to be doing a long trip. I'm going to be hanging out with Shug and a bunch of other YouTubers for some deep winter hammocking and hot tenting. So check out the channel, Miyagi on the Trail.
That'll be cool.
Awesome.
Thanks,
awesome.
Miyagi and Trips. Thank you. Nice.
Awesome. David?
Let's see, on YouTube, I think I'm just David Gray. So I don't have any fancy name or anything like that, but you can probably just find David Gray Backpacking. On Instagram, I think it's davidgray.photography. And also I've got a web page now if you want to go read about anything. A lot of the trips are written up kind of like the video form, but in writing with pictures, and that's just you'll find it with David Gray Media.
And I gotta say, David, you got some awesome photography. If you guys get a chance, check out his stuff because he's got some just awesome stuff out there.
Thank you.
His website is a fun read too. Like even after watching the trips on video, it's fun to go back and read your journal entries.
Well, we put more, you put more into kind of what you were thinking and all of that. So I think it's kind of cool. And there's some gear reviews out there. I'm not big on gear reviews, but there's some gear reviews out there, and some of the cool places we've stayed, reviews of the lodging places and restaurants and all that are like Many Glacier Hotel and Lake McDonald Lodge and various places. So it's just different stuff to read.
Awesome.
And I can add into it.
Absolutely. And Sparky, you still don't want anybody to find you?
So I just found out yesterday I have an Instagram account. I don't know what it is. Ask Jeremy. I have a YouTube account. I forgot the password. And supposedly there's a Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, but peace. You know what? Thank you. I'm good.
I don't even know where your sleeve tattoos came from. That's like, you got those like between like noon and this evening. So
that's cool. Yeah.
That's impressive
Great
artwork.
work,
Right there.
yeah, absolutely.
So awesome. And then Chris, thank you for running the backdrop. So appreciate you doing your thing. So be sure to check out That Hiking Guy. And actually there's a meetup coming up for Indiana backpackers, right?
Yep. Well, for outdoor YouTubers, April 28th.
Okay.
Blackwell Horse Camp, Trail Seeding Wilderness. Also check us out at Campfires and Cattles. We have
Yes, sir.
live stream as well.
You got a pretty cool guest coming on this Wednesday, right?
Yeah, we got a really interesting multi-sport dude who not a lot of people have heard of. In fact, he has less subs than me. I'm trying to help him get over 5K.
Yeah. From what I understand, he's like kayaked the Mississippi and just like all kinds of wild stuff.
CDT, AT, he bike packed all 48 states in the contiguous. Yeah, so
He's too busy for videos.
Yeah, pretty much.
Impressive. Carlson Adventures, just to clear the air, it is hammock, not hammock.
Here we go.
Hammock.
Hammock. Is it hammock?
Oh, that is fantastic. Well, thanks again, guys. So, and everybody watching, thanks for tuning in. And until next time.
Okay. Thank you. See you guys.
See you guys.